स्टडी IQ IAS, अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल.
Hello guys, welcome to Study IQ. I am Safir. In this session, we are going to talk about Arya Samaj. Okay, so a very important revivalist movement from Hindu side. Guys, if you see, when we talk about the 19th century socio-religious reform movements, there are two types of movements. Reformist movement on one side and the revivalist movement on the other side. So reformist movements, when we discuss one in the Muslim side, we discuss that is Aligarh movement, and one in the Hindu side. So if you see reformist movement, what we did is we discussed Aligarh movement, right, by Sayyid Ahmad Khan, and that is from the Islam side. And then we discussed Brahmo Sabha or Brahmo Samaj by Raja Ram Mohan Roy, that is from the Muslim side. And then we have this revivalist movement. So this we will be discussing like this. So first one is related to Muslim side, that is Wahhabi movement. And now we are going to talk about Arya Samaj. What is the main difference between reformist and revivalist? Because there were certain problems during 19th century, like superstitious belief, like gender discrimination, like the problems in education, and then some specific problems like widow remarriage related issue among the upper caste Hindus. Sati was related to upper caste Hindus, right? Child marriage in the western part of India, female infanticide among Rajputs. So there are certain problems. In this context, only we need to understand these movements. Otherwise, it's very difficult. So if you see here, now when we talk about revivalists, they don't like the Western culture or Western tradition. Their idea is to go back to previous tradition. Reformists are those people who started thinking rationally, logically, and they responded with the time. And they were ready to accept the good things from the West. But these guys are not ready. When it comes to Wahhabi movement, they want to go back to 7th century Arab, when the Prophet Muhammad and 4 caliphs were living. And they are of the opinion that Islam was in its purest form at that point of time. Same is the case with Arya Samaj. They also want to go back to Vedas. We have certain issues that I've talked about now. All these issues have solution. But the solution is not going to come through Western setup. It should be through by going back to Vedas. Solution for each and every problems are there in Vedas and Upanishads. We just need to implement it. We just need to go back to Vedas. So that's about this movement is all about, and that's exactly what I want to discuss now. So the person associated with this, obviously you should be knowing Swami Dayanand Saraswati, and the original name is Mulshankar Tiwari. So Swami Dayanand Saraswati. Okay, so originally from Gujarat, born in 1824, Gujarat, and 1875 he established Arya Samaj, where in Bombay, and the headquarters was shifted to Lahore in 1877. And what is the main slogan of this movement? It is go back to Vedas. So that itself will tell you the idea of this movement is all about go back to Vedas, right? So that means it's clearly a revivalist movement, right? So he want to revive Hindu society as it was in Vedic period. So as it was in Vedic period. Vedic period means like 1500 to 600 BC. This I have discussed under art and culture. We discussed about Vedic period, early Vedic, later Vedic, from Indus Valley civilization onwards, then Chalcolithic period, then Vedic period, and then Gupta. Everything has been covered already. So you should be having very good idea about the timeline and all those art and architecture and all those things that I have already covered in this channel itself. So Wahhabi movement, go back to 7th century Arab. These guys want to go back to Vedic period, that means 1500 to 600 BC. And he only approved Vedas, means Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda, and also Upanishads. And he rejected all other Hindu literatures like Puranas, etc. Okay, so unlike Swami Dayanand Saraswati, he was not ready to accept other cultures. Swami Dayanand Saraswati is not willing to accept anything from any other culture, because for him everything is there in Hindu system, everything is there in Vedas and Upanishads. He don't go for Puranas and all those stories and all those things, but Vedas and Upanishads. He only accepted that. If you see Rajaram Mohan Roy, He was willing to take good things from the other religion. Like from Christianity, he's happy, he's okay with humanity. From Islam, he have taken equality. From Hinduism, he have taken spirituality. But for Swami Vivekananda, Swami Dayanand Saraswati, he was not willing to accept anything from any culture. He's not happy with Western culture. He's not happy with any other religion. Only sticking to Hindu system, Hindu Vedas and Upanishads. And for him, we have problems, and the solution for all the problems are there within our Vedas and Upanishads. Only thing is that we just need to go back to Vedas, implement it. That itself is the solution for all the problems that we are facing. Why we need Western setup for solving our own problem? The problems are our problem. It is our own problem, and the solution should come from within, not from outside. Okay, and it is there. It is there in Vedas and Upanishads. Just that you need to find out. So, very orthodox movement, very revivalist movement, but there are certain things that you should be remembering here. They rejected idol worship. So, this is something which you have seen in Brahmo Samaj also, right? But here you will be having confusion. Very orthodox and very revivalist movement. So, will they reject idol worship? Yes, they rejected idol worship. You won't find any idols in any of the Arya Samaj mandirs. So, just remember this point: rejected idol worship. Now, guys. Second point is they promoted intercaste marriage. You won't believe it, but promoted. Because I am talking about Orthodox, I am talking about revivalists. Then how can they promote intercaste marriage, right? Because if you see, Indian marriage rule is very like rigid, right? Let's say this is Brahmins and this is Kshatriya, or two different castes. You cannot go for caste exogamy. It's not permitted. You should marry within the caste. If you're a Kshatriya, marry a Kshatriya. If you're a Brahmin, you should marry a Brahmin. Intercaste marriage is not allowed as per the marriage rule. But within caste, there are different clans or gotras. And within this, not marriage allowed. They have to marry outside the clan. So marriage rule in India is actually very complex and very rigid, that the caste endogamy, that means marry within the caste, and clan exogamy, you mean you have to marry outside the clan. But he deviated from that. He said we will promote intercaste marriage. But what is the reason? What do you think will be the reason? Despite being so orthodox and a strong believer and follower of Hinduism, why he did that? Because otherwise he'll be jailed very easily. 1872, there is a Universal Marriage Act was passed by Lord Northbrook, who was the Governor General, under which already the intercaste marriage is legalized. So now if you are going against it, means you are going against the state and you'll be simply taken and put into prison. So that may be the reason, but otherwise I don't find any reason why he is supposed to promote this. Okay, because the marriage rule in India is very rigid as per the religious scriptures. Okay, so these two looks like very modern. So that's why I am mentioning it separately and making it very clear. They rejected idol worship, don't be confused, and they promoted intercaste marriage. Never be confused. And also, they want to, some rituals, they feel that this is unnecessary. Like they want to conduct marriage in temples with some simple, small rituals rather than making it complicated and complex things like that. So these are things which you need to remember. Now, just like Wahhabi movement, the first part was very good, very simple. Here also the first part was very good and there is no problem absolutely. But second part, there it was establishment of Islamic rules created problem. Here also the second part. There are two things that we need to discuss that actually created problem and that made this movement controversial and anti-Muslim and anti-Christian across India and led to a lot of communal riots and struggles. What are they? The first one was related to, they started a cow protection Samiti, Gau Raksha Samiti, cow protection movement, and they started a Gau Raksha Samiti basically to protect the cows. Obviously, even now also you know the issues which is connected with cow. But slowly it started communalizing the Indian society, started becoming anti-Muslim and anti-Christian. So a lot of communal issues have been started and witnessed across India. And there is a very interesting line which was adopted by Mahatma Gandhi in this context. I am a Hindu and I request all my Muslim and Christian brothers not to eat cow. But even if they do so, I can't do anything because human being is more important for me than the animal. So a lot of instances of killing of people, a lot of instances of communalizing the Indian society have happened at that point of time just because of this. And then the next one was related to Shuddhi. Shuddhi movement is actually a kind of purification ceremony. People who were converted from Hinduism to Islam or Christianity, when they're coming back to Hinduism, there is a movement which was conducted, or there is a purification ceremony which was conducted. That is what Shuddhi movement. And it again started communalizing the Indian society. And related to this, also a lot of communal issues have happened, because conversion at any point of time, whether to that or coming back to this and all those, will always create issue. So that issue was there. So it started communalizing. Okay. Now again, guys, he wrote a book, that is Satyarth Prakash, Swami Dayanand Saraswati, Satyarth Prakash, and he died in 1883 in Ajmer, Rajasthan. So after his death, his followers were divided into two: moderates and orthodox, not extremists. Orthodox means orthodox are those who firmly followed Swami Dayanand Saraswati. Moderates are willing to accept some changes, like the reformist. So that means from this group, again, some reformist is going to come, and the revivalist is going to continue their tradition. So here they are willing to accept change, but here they are not willing to accept change. They will continue. So who are the moderates? Lala Hansraj and Lala Lajpat Rai. And they founded in 1887 a school, Dayanand Anglo-Vedic School at Lahore. Dayanand, his name, Anglo, English, Vedic means Indian school. Similar college we have seen before, Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College by Syed Ahmad Khan. So the reformer, something related to education. Same way here, these are reformers, something related to education, both English and Vedic. So far they are not ready to accept English culture and setup. Now they are willing, they are showing that. So Dayanand Anglo-Vedic School. Okay. So here English system at the same time focus on Vedas also, similar to Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College. What about Orthodox? If you remember, revivalist, Wahhabi movement, Darul Uloom. Same way here, these guys are going to start some Gurukul. In 1902, in Haridwar, they started a Gurukul. Okay, it was led by Swami Shraddhanand. And they rejected the West and their concept of education, and they just continued with the tradition of Swami Dayanand Saraswati. And in 1902, they have established a Gurukul in Haridwar. The idea is to establish an institute which is parallel to DAF. Okay, so you can see parallel to Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, Dayanand Anglo-Vedic School. And the parallel to Darul Uloom, here there is a Gurukul which is established. So I hope now things are getting very clear. So this is, both are linked. Guys, so ultimately when we talk about Arya Samaj, it's a revivalist movement. There are good things like rejection of idol worship, promotion of intercaste marriage, reducing the marriage rituals and everything to simple forms than complex rituals and all. These are good things. But again, issues with respect to Shuddhi movement and cow protection movement. And after the death of Swami Dayanand Saraswati, they divided into two, and one moderate and the other orthodox. So guys, I hope you understood whatever I have discussed. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you soon in the next session.
स्टडी IQ IAS अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।